a skill that allows the artificial breeding of monsters with a shortened time period. That's just asking to be used for breeding monsters like livestock. There's a lot of bread to be made there. From Ian's recollections, though, she's sure he'll not do such a thing. Still can't teach him, though. Lol. So you need to know what it means to court someone, or you can't learn it. And Ian, well, he's a turbo virgin. His hopes crush in just one sentence and his pain of being single rawer than ever. Tears stream down Ian's face. But right at that moment, a system pop-up shows a new quest. Preacher of Love. If Ian can help the two fairies Whitson and Carol become a couple, he'll technically understand what it means to court someone. Then, Ariel will happily teach him her ability. So rather than finding love, now he just has to play matchmaker. Much more reasonable, right? Never mind. Whitson's a literal kid because of elves aging differently from humans. How in the world is he meant to make this work? Even worse, the kid's been single for about 150 years. And to top it all off, when Ian watches over him during an outing to pick mushrooms together, the fairies can't even talk to each other from shyness. So much for this being a reasonable quest. Later, Ian is berating Whitson at his house for being unable to even talk to Carol. As that's going on, though, Whitson's crystal ball starts glowing. After checking, the fairy yells out that Carol's just sent him a message. They'll be surprised that NPCs can message each other. Ian sees this as an opportunity. Slamming his hand down on the table, he tells Whitson to just follow his lead from here on. As it turns out, Whitson sucks at texting just as much as he does at talking to Carol in real life. Maybe even more so. Ian tries to guide the kid, but his shyness just doesn't allow him to make any bold moves. If anything, he just starts making the situation worse by acting super formal. When Carol tries to drop hints and have him take a step forward, he completely misses it and becomes apologetic. And then, of all things, Whitson for some reason decides to ask Carol if she's sleeping. Bro, she's literally talking to you. What? Eventually, the summoner grows tired and tells Whitson his only option now is to confess up front. Of course, that's far beyond something Whitson has the confidence to do. Already exhausted from the back and forth, Ian just grabs the crystal ball himself. After figuring out how to send a message, he sends one on Whitson's behalf. A message asking Carol to go out with him. Horrified, Whitson tries to undo this, but it's too late. Carol's seen the message, and she's video calling Whitson. Ian quickly gets up, tells Whitson to be true to his feelings, and gets the hell out of there. Standing outside, Ian's sure he's failed the quest. To his surprise, the exact opposite has happened. Whitson and Carol are now a couple. Holy hell, that easy. Once the system informs him he's cleared the Preacher of Love quest, Ian returns to Ariel to get the monster breeding skill. Ariel happily gives him the skill. Now being a monster breeder, Ian is able to see the gender of minions, because, I imagine that's quite important for the purpose of breeding. Weirdly enough, this reveals to him that every single one of his minions is male. Pretty weird considering that minions come equally in both genders according to Ariel. What are the odds he just happened to get all males? Ah well, it doesn't really matter. When Ian turns to leave, Ariel gives him a crystal ball. With this, they can contact each other at any time. The reason for this is her concern that she'll need his help sometime in the future. As she says this, a system pop-up shows Ian that he'll receive a hidden quest if he accepts the ball. Evil Dragon Callippa's Shadow. Most of the details are hidden and say that he'll learn of them once his skills have been further enhanced. Between the quest having no time limit and Callippa being the one who caused Oakley all his troubles way back when, Ian has no reason to refuse. Plus, the quest window reveals something that surprises him quite a bit. One of the quest conditions is to be a third-level summoning master. He didn't even know leveling up your class was possible as a master. Something to think on after he accepts Ariel's quest. His decision made, Ian takes the crystal ball from Ariel and heads on his way. When Ian returns to the Dimensional Magic Tower, Griffa greets him, happy that he's got the monster breeding skill. Wasting no time, she takes him to the room she's using as a stable for the herbivorous monsters they've revived. Eager to test his new skill, Ian stands before a pair of crop sizes. As he's activating the skill, he wonders if he's about to see some dirty stuff. Hold up, what the hell, bro? They're animals. At the thought of this, he gets excited and quickly activates the skill. Brushing past that weird moment from Ian that I'm fairly certain was just a mistranslation, the breeding goes off perfectly. Through his skill, a new Cropsis egg is created between the two monsters. For this, Ian receives the title of Monster Breeder and 25,000 fame points. The title greatly raises his ability to bond with and raise strong minions. Seeing its benefits and the fact that it's a fully passive skill, Ian gets a dark gleam in his eyes. Maybe he should just go ahead and breed all of the remaining monsters too. With this greedy thought in mind, he turns to another pair of Cropses. The shelled monsters can only cower away from him, mainly because they are both males. Back off, Ian. Most importantly, though, Ian now finally has what he's been pursuing for so long, the minion egg hatching skill. With this, he can finally get back to his original quest goals. Over in the real world, Jinsung and Yu Yun have a little chat after class lets out at the university. To Jinsung's surprise, their guildmate Cloven has actually been trying really hard to get an Empire quest. After all, they need a guild member with 40,000 fame to become a noble and turn their guild base into a domain. They don't have anyone like that yet. Yeah, Ian here definitely doesn't already have over 500,000 fame. Keep talking, Yun. Jinsung decides to spend more time with the guild once his quests are done and tells Yu Yun to just sit tight. Later, back in Kalen, Ian stands in the newly made monster grounds outside the Dimensional Magic Tower. Here, he finally uses his hatching skill on the Divine Dragon's egg. This hatching shall be legendary. Oop. Okay, it's not hatching just yet. His skill has made it possible for the egg to hatch, but he has to win a bunch of fights first. As the egg of the war dragon Carseus, the beast within needs to absorb the energy of battles to fully awaken. Weirdly enough, there's a unique label next to the egg's legendary rank in the stat window. With his hatching skill ready, Ian heads to the Emperor's castle to finally complete his quest and hatch his griffin egg. With this, his Empire quest will finally be over. Oop, never mind. Same issue. The legendary egg's ready to hatch, but it needs to absorb wind energy from the windiest area in Culinair. Ian does note that unlike the dragon egg, this one doesn't have a unique tag next to its rank. When he explains this to the Emperor, his right-hand man, Helame states that this would be the Heavenly Highlands area. Unfortunately for Ian, that's a really rough area with monsters well over level 130. Going there solo would be a self-ending mission. Right as he's trying to weasel his way out of it, Ian realizes something. He doesn't need to go alone. That's some Deku realizing he has legs level stupidity. In the Heavenly Highlands area, Ian and his minions can be seen tearing through a bunch of high-level monsters. Light has even gained a new skill called Bloodlust that boosts his attack and speed. Alongside them, a contingent of royal guards is fighting as well, led by Helame. At Ian's request, an expedition was kickstarted into the Highlands for the hatching of the Griffin. Their destination is the Great Altar, where the strongest wind blows. Thanks to the guards, Ian and his minions are leveling up at a ridiculous rate. After all, even the lowest ranking ones are over level 150. This gives Ian pause over one thing though. If the average guards are such a high level and he can still see them, just how powerful is Helame? That guy's level doesn't even show to him. Between that and him being the leader of them all, could he be even higher than 200? Just questions for later. For now, he's getting way too much XP to care. Getting carried is so satisfying. After killing an absolute boatload of monsters, Helame orders for his soldiers to make camp and rest. Where they're going next, they'll have to face level 150 mummy monks. They'll need all the energy they've got for that challenge. Meanwhile, Yu Yun is speaking to his second-in-command, Phylon, about their guild's current status. With their protection period coming to an end soon, they'll be at risk of being invaded by larger guilds for their territory. The best way to counter this is to upgrade their base to a domain and install defensive measures. For now, they just have to ride it out till that can be done. Silently, Yu Yun hopes Ian will return soon to help them. A good while later, the expedition has advanced into the vicinity of a large temple-like building. Seeing the place, Ian believes they've reached the Heavenly Highlands roof. Here, Helame puts down a sudden attack from a monster and turns to his men. He warns his men that the Heavenly Highlands roof is extremely dangerous. Level 190 monsters can spawn at random from now on, so they must stay on guard. Ian can only faceplant in fear. He barely survived the mummy monks, and now there are level 190 monsters to worry about. Right as he's getting over that and renewing his resolve, the group are attacked by a mob of several monsters. Helame bravely charges into combat to take down these monsters and orders his men to prepare themselves. Their goal is to be stealthy and avoid attracting more monsters. As Helame's charge leads him to a clash with the incoming monsters, a large explosion goes off. Helame barks out a quick order for his men to protect Ian and the Griffin egg. You will deal with these monsters. Man, he's so cool. Weirdly enough, the monsters run away in a different direction right as they get close to Helame. Ian's confused. Is the knight just built that different? Oh, hey, what's that thing back there? Holy crap, what is that? Turns out the monsters were running from an even bigger threat. A giant pterodactyl monster that's even bigger than Macho in sheer size. Knowing this thing is too strong for him, Helame orders Ian to take the Griffin egg and make a break for the altar. Not one to argue with someone saving his life, Ian obeys and grabs the egg. As he starts running, he can't help but be awed by the flawless teamwork and pure power of the knights and royal guard. Just a single swing of that huge bird would kill him if he was the one trying to fight it. Knowing that and being aware that they can't hold it back forever, Ian uses the assimilate skill with Lie. Now in his werewolf form that boosts agility, he runs to the altar like a bat out of hell. Thanks to the heightened speed, Ian gets to the altar fairly quickly. The system informs him he's the first to discover the heavenly altar and assigns him some perks as a reward. As that's happening, Ian realizes this situation is nearly identical to one he discovered the lava springs that granted him Break the Drake. That must mean he'll have to revisit the place in the future if he wants to hatch any flame-type monsters. Anyways, something to think about another time. He's got a griffin to hatch before that damn pterodactyl gets here after all. Without wasting another moment, Ian places the egg on the altar and begins the hatching process. In seconds, it reaches 11%. At this rate, it should hatch pretty fast. What's that sound? Ah crap baskets, the bird monster broke through the knight's defenses and is flying towards the altar. As Ian urges the hatching to hurry up, something unexpected happens. An item has been in his inventory for weeks now. A plain-looking rock that he got from killing the player Killer's way back after the Goblin War quest. It would seem it's much more than just a rock, though. With a bright glow, it floats out of his inventory and starts floating around the griffin egg. A pop-up states that the item Wind Essence has been activated. In just another moment, the egg cracks apart violently and the monster within finally awakens. Oh what? Monsters it would seem. The egg has hatched twins instead of just a single griffin. When he sees just how stupidly high their stats are and how broken their abilities look, Ian feels a temptation take hold of him. Nobody's here to see this, and the Emperor only wants one griffin right. So maybe he'll just yoink one of them real quick. Yoink! Right after he's captured one of them. The pterodactyl finally reaches the altar. Terrified, Ian runs for his mommy.